चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च। नमः ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशचारिणे। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So welcome to the Vaishnav Ninda series. Today is the last session on this series which we are going to have. And as we know that in this second part, which is a contemporary study, where initially we had some Shastric discussion and some philosophical analysis. Later on, we went to the pastimes from the Chaitanya Bhagavata, especially with respect to Vaishnav Ninda, and how we should see these pastimes and what lessons we can draw from these pastimes and how we can apply these teachings in our own life. So that was the basic way in which we have been studying this last theme in the second part, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's deliverance of criticizers and his instructions. So today we will be discussing the Chaitanya Bhagavata Madhya, chapter 13. And the famous pastime is the deliverance of Jagai and Madai. So in this there are many themes and many points about Vaishnav Ninda have been spoken. And we will be narrating these pastimes and especially focusing on Vaishnav Ninda. So the first theme is God Nityanand's forgiveness and deliverance of Jagai and Madai, the demigod service to Gaur. And the important theme here is the consequences of committing Vaishnava Aparadha. Then, after Jagai and Madai is delivered, Mahaprabhu declared that Jagai and Madai were Mahabhagavats. After ordering everyone to respect them as Mahabhagavats, he warned that if anyone acted to the contrary, or criticize the two, they would be ruined as a result of that Vaishnava Prad. So this is later on Mahaprabhu instructing to his disciples about criticizing Jaga and Madhya, who are now delivered. And then the author, Vrindavan Das Thakur, ends the chapter with a description of the formidable consequence of Vaishnava Aparadh. So these are the themes from the this chapter. So let us now briefly go through this pastime. This is a very, very famous pastime. And I will be only touching upon few verses. Otherwise, I'll just go through the narration. And if there are any important philosophical points in the commentary of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, I will take up that. Otherwise, I'll just narrate the story as it is here in the verse by verse discussion. And if you have any questions, you are free to raise your hands and ask during that time. So let us first chant this beautiful Mangala Charan verse and begin. Ajanulambita bujo kanakavadvato sankirtane kapitaro kamalayataksho vishwambaro dvijavaro yugadharma palo vande jagat priyakaro karuna avataro. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. Dvijavara, whose arms extend down to their knees. Ajanu Lambita Bujo, who have golden yellow complexion. Kanaka Avaduto, who inaugurated the congregational chanting of the holy names of the Lord. Sankirtaneka Pitaro. Their eyes resemble the petals of the lotus flower. Kamala Yataksho. Kamal Nayan, as Krishna is called. In fact, if you want to see exactly how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu looked, we should visit two deities in Navadvip. One is in Ambika Kalna, where Gauridas Pandit had his deities. They are exactly actually Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. And another is, I'm not able to recollect the deities. These are not carved deities, they are self-manifested deities. It is in Champahati. It is in Champahati where Jayadev Goswami used to reside there. So these deities, exactly if you see their eyes used to literally touch the ears. So they were like lotus petals. They are the maintenance of the living entities. Vishwambaro, Dvijavaro, the best of the Brahmanas, the protector of religious principles of this Yuga Dharma Palo, the benefactors of the universe, and the most merciful of all incarnations. Vande Jagat Priyakaro Karuna Avatirno. All glories to Mahaprabhu, Shri Gaur Sundar Nityanand, whose body is the object of everyone's worship. Jaya Jaya Mahaprabhu, Shri Gaur Sundar, Jaya Nityananda, Sarva Seva Kalevara. He is Savior Bhagavan, Nityananda Prabhu. In this way, Lord Vishwambar performed pastimes in Navadvip that were not seen by everyone. Only those who had eyes of love, Prem Chakshu, they were able to see. Ordinary people saw him as Nimai Pandit. They could not see any of his characteristics beyond this. When the Lord entered into the association of his servants, he floated in happiness. He would reveal himself to each devotee in proportion to the devotee's good fortune. When he left their association, he would conceal himself. One day, the Lord suddenly ordered Nityanand and Haridas as follows. So here the pastime begins. Ekadin achambite hoila he namati agya kaila Nityananda Haridasar prati. So what is agya? Shuno Shuno Nityanand, Shuno Haridas, Sarvatra Amara agya Karye Prakash. Listen Nityanand, listen Haridas, go out and preach my order everywhere. Agya Karya Prakash, Sarvatra Amara Agya Karya Prakash. What is this agya? Prati Gore Ghare Giya Kare Ei Bhiksha Bolo Krishna, Bhaja Krishna, Karo Krishna Shiksha. Go to every house and beg in this way. Chant the names of Krishna, worship Krishna, follows Krishna's instructions. So this was what Mahaprabhu had ordered both the lords. And then, apart from this, you should not speak or have others speak anything else. At the end of the day, come and give me your report. I will take up my chakra and cut off the heads of those who will not chant after being requested by you. You both, in fact. Who is requesting? Nityanand Prabhu, his Balram, who manifests the entire material and the spiritual world. Advaita Acharya, who is Mahavishnu. They both, as Nityanand Prabhu and Advaita Acharya, are going to each house holding a straw in their tree. They are falling at their feet and they're begging the devotees, the residents of Navdeep, to take the holy name. Bolo Krishna, Bhajo Krishna, Karo Krishna Shiksha. So if they don't follow, then Mahaprabhu says, I will with my chakra cut off their heads if they don't follow your instructions. On hearing the order, all the Vaishnavas laughed. Who has the power to transgress his order? Who has the power to transgress the Lord's orders? His order is such that even Nityanand carries on his head, anyone who does not believe this is not very intelligent. Hena agya yaha Nityananda shire vahe. He carries on his head. If one serves Advaita but does not accept Chaitanya, then Advaita will destroy him without remorse. So this we saw the whole philosophical discussion when we discussed in the last class about the glories of Advaita Acharya. Accepting the Lord order on their head, Nityananda and Haridas smiled and immediately went out on the street. They went door to door and requested, chant the name of Krishna, bolo Krishna, gao Krishna, bhajao Krishna, sing the glories of Krishna, engage in Krishna's worship. Krishna prana, Krishna dana, Krishna se jivana, hena Krishna bolo bhai, hoya ekamana. Krishna is your life, Krishna prana, Krishna is your wealth, Krishna dhana, Krishna is your very life and soul, Krishna se jivana. Oh brothers, bhai, chant the names of that Krishna with full attention. Hena Krishna bolo hoya ekamana. So this is what they requested. In this way, the two controllers of the universe went to every house as they wandered throughout Nadia. Both were dressed as sannyasis. This is Haridas Thakur and Chaitanya Avadut sannyasi Nityananda. At every house they went, they were eagerly invited to take their meal. Nityananda and Haridas would then say, our only request is that you chant the names of Krishna, worship Krishna, follow the teachings of Krishna. After speaking this way, the two departed. Those who were pious became most pleased. Now, how others react to this preaching? Hearing the unprecedented words from the mouth of those two, various people found varieties of pleasure while discussing various related topics. Some happily said, we will do, we will do. Others said, these two are crazy because of bad advice. We have become mad on account of bad association. You have become mad on account of bad association. Why have you come to make us mad? Even Prabhupada, when he started the Hare Krishna movement, they termed that, those who are wearing this lungi and dhoti and kurta, they are crazy people. Then Prabhupada wrote an article in the BTG, who is crazy? So this was there during that time also. Many sober and civilized persons have become mad in this way. Nimai Pandit has spoiled them all. As soon as the two went to the houses of those who were not allowed to see Chaitanya's dancing, those people said, beat them, beat them. Someone said, perhaps these two are the spies of a thief. They are wandering door to door on the pretext of preaching. Why would a Sujan act in that way? If they have come again, if they come again, we will take them to the king. So this is how people responded to their preaching. On hearing such talk, Nityananda and Haridas laughed. on the strength of Chaitanya's order, they were not frightened. So this will be the mood of a preacher. There will be some who will be favorable, so we should not get elated. There will be some who will reject us. We should not get depressed. We should just follow the orders of the Lord and satisfy the Lord. In this way, the two daily wandered from door to door and then reported to Vishwambar at the end of the day. Now, the pastime begins about Jaga and Madai. Text 31. Ek dinapate deke dui matohola mahadashu praya dui madhyapa vishala. One day, ek din, they saw two drunkards on the street. Matahola. Matahola means, they are intoxicated, fully intoxicated. Why? Madhyapan. Madhyapan means intoxication. They were fully intoxicated and acted like great rogues. There were unlimited stories about the two, for they were no sin that they had not committed. Although they were Brahmanas, they always engaged in drinking wine, eating beef, plundering others' wealth, and burning others' houses. They avoided royal punishment and the notices of the town authorities. They did not pass a day without wine and meat. So this is their biography. The two would roll on the street and they would punch anyone they met. As people watched these incidents from a distance, Nityanand and Haridas arrived there. So Nityanand and Haridas arrived there. Sometimes the two displayed affection for each other and sometimes they pulled each other's hair while cursing. So they were, exhibiting all sorts of dualities. They used to have affection for each other. Sometimes they used to beat each other. Sometimes they ruined the caste of the Brahmanas of Nadia, and sometimes under the influence of wine, they would speak solacing words to someone. Every type of sin became manifest in the bodies of these two, except the sin of blaspheming devotees. So here is a very important point. So Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, so far they had not committed any aparad or offense by attacking Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They had committed only sins. So if you remember in our first or the second session, we had discussed the difference between sin and aparad. And one might commit unlimited sins, but the holy name is so powerful that it will immediately wipe it away. But aparad is so dangerous that, it's like vajralep. So these two, sarva papa e duhere sharira janmila, Vaishnav Ninda papa sabe na hoila. So they had never committed a Vaishnava. And then Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, as soon as one blasphemes the Vaishnava, all his good qualities are vanquished and offenses take shelter of him. So this is how dangerous is Vaishnav Ninda. As soon as one blasphemes a Vaishnava, all his good qualities immediately are vanquished. And how subtle it is happening, sometimes we don't understand. And actually offenses start taking shelter in one who starts blaspheming Vaishnavas. In fact, somewhere in the Bhagavatam, I think Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur mentions, or I have read in Jiva Goswami's work, that moment one commits these kind of offenses, Vaishnava aparad, sinful desires, it's Narayan himself who will, put sinful desires in the heart of that person, and he'll start committing sinful activities and he'll leave the association of Vaishnavas. So that is how dangerous is Vaishnava aparad. Then an interesting reasoning. Why did they not commit Vaishnava aparad? Because they never associated with Vaishnavas. They happily spent their days and nights in the company of other drunkards. Therefore, they had no opportunity to blaspheme Vaishnavas. So here now, what is the lesson for us? Who is in a more dangerous situation? The devotees who are in the association of other Vaishnavas, they have more, you can say, tendency to commit Vaishnava aparadh. But those who are in the association of other drunkards and doing this sinful activity, they might commit sin, but if they are not doing Vaishnava aparadh, they are more safe. But we as devotees, we have a risk of committing Vaishnava aparadh. And that is why, especially why we have the risk of committing Vaishnava aparadh. What is the reason? Anyone can raise their hand and tell or type in the chat box to me. What is the reason? There is chance that we will commit Vaishnava aparadh. Anyone? Yes, Maya Narasimha Prabhuji.
Because we are regularly associating with devotees.
Yes.
And there is a multi-diversification of qualities and natures.
Yes, yes, yes. So because we are regularly associating with Vaishnavas, and that is why, in fact, when we come in the association of Vaishnavas, we should, train our mind. Oh, here is the assembly of Vaishnavas. Immediately we should offer obeisances and become conscious that such a great fortune I have got, that I'm getting the Sangh of Vaishnavas. Just like when you go inside the temple, first you ring the bell and you become conscious that, now I'm entering Vishnu temple. So in the association of Vaishnavas, our bell should ring in the mind that this is a association by which I can attain pure devotion, and we should not take it lightly. The only reason we commit offenses in the association of Vaishnavas is we take things very, very lightly, that association very, very lightly, because it is readily available. So these two did not commit offense to Vaishnavas because they never associated Vaishnavas and they did not have any opportunity to blaspheme Vaishnavas. So very, very important point. The assembly in which Vaishnavas are blasphemed will be ruined, even if all other religious principles are observed. Ye sabhaya Vaishnavar Nindya matra hoy, sarva dharma thakila oy tabu hoy shaya. Ye sabha Vaishnavar Ninda matra hoy. The assembly in which Vaishnavas are blasphemed, what? Hoy shaya, it will be removed, ruined. Sarva dharma thakila oy tabu, even if all religious principles are observed. Now, can anyone give me two examples from the Shastras where in the Sabha Vaishnav Ninda happened and everything was ruined? Anyone would like to give examples? After that, I'll take up the question. Where is an example in the Shastras where in a Sabha the Vaishnavas were criticized or blasphemed and everything was ruined? Yes, Kalyani Mataji has raised her hand. Yes, Mataji.
Daksha Maharaj, when criticized the Shiv, Bhagwan Shiv.
Yes, the Daksha Prajapati, when he criticized Shiva, that entire assembly fully was destroyed. Is there any other pastime which we know? Any other pastime? Any other pastime we are aware? Yes, Maya Narasimha Prabhuji.
Prabhu, two things are there. One is Shishupal in the assembly offending Yudhishthir Maharaj and Pandavas. And also Indra offending his spiritual master by not offering respects.
Yes. Yes, there also that pastime is that he lost his post completely. He lost his post. He lost his post. So that is one pastime. In the Mahabharata, there is a pastime when Draupadi in that Sabha was insulted. What was the reaction? The entire Kaurava dynasty was completely destroyed in the Battle of Kurukshetra. So just like there's a fog, and with the rising of the sun, the entire fog is destroyed. Similarly, just by committing that aparad towards Draupadi, to chaste, wife of the Pandavas, who was a very pure devotee of Lord Krishna, the entire Kaurav dynasty was lost. It completely disappeared, just like the fog disappears with the rising of the sun. So that is how dangerous Yah Sabhaya. There are many examples also. Then another serious warning is given. Sannyasi Sabhaya yadi hoy ninda karma madhya pere sabha hoite sei sabha adharma. If an assembly of sannyasis indulges in blasphemy, sannyasi sabhaya yadi hoy nindya karma. In the assembly of sannyasi, if an assembly of sannyasis indulges in blasphemy, then that assembly is more sinful than the assembly of drunkards. Madhya pera sabhaya hoite se sabha adharma. So very, very heavy statement here by Kaviraj, by Vrindavan Das Thakur. If the topmost community that abstains from worldly good and evil activities, and that belongs to the highest ashram, that is sannyas ashram, of the best sampradaya, engages in the blasphemy of Vaishnavas, then it is to be understood that such a community is more sinful than the sinful community of drunkards. Very, very extreme contrast has been drawn here. Madhyapera nishkrita che ahe che kono kati para chakchera gati nahi kabu bale. A drunkard will be delivered in the due course of time, but one who engages in blasphemy will never attain the goal of life. Again, it's again a very, very heavy statement. People who drink wine become crazy and engage in sinful activities. Until they gave up such bad habits, they continue to engage in sinful activities. If by chance their thirst for drinking wine is checked, they will not further engage in sinful activities. But now here is a very important point. But persons who blaspheme others can never achieve any auspiciousness. And here Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is quoting the Uddhav Gita, which we saw while discussing Vaishnav Ninda Bhakti Thakur series. Para Swabhav Karmani na prashamsen na gharayet. Vishwam ekamayam pashyan prakritya purushena cha. One should neither praise nor criticize the conditioned activities, nature and activities of other persons. Rather, one should see this world as simply a combination of material nature and enjoying sales based on the one absolute truth. So this is a very important point. One should carefully consider his own auspiciousness and inauspiciousness. Now think about it, please, devotees, that when you start speaking about other natures of other devotees, in one sense, we are at the level criticizing their natures. So think about your own auspiciousness and inauspiciousness. How much inauspicious you are going to attain by doing this activity of blaspheming or criticizing or doing ninda. So understanding, carefully considering this, one should avoid Vaishnav Ninda. Rather than doing so, those who nourish their sinful propensities by remaining busy in activities like blaspheming others can never achieve any benefit. The propensity for hating others is called envy. This is the definition of this. Unless one becomes non-envious, one cannot retire from material inauspiciousness. Those who are busy talking about others can never bring about their own benefit. So we had an elaborate philosophical discussion about talking about others. And scriptures, Prajalpa, we had taken the topic of Prajalpa, where we mentioned that one should never engage in talking about others. Only rare occasions are there where Mahajans speak about others in order to instruct us. like Maitreya narrating to Vidur the pastime of how Brahmaji got attracted to his own daughter Vak. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu criticizing or taking action on Chota Haridas to instruct us that those who are in the renounced order, how careful they should be. Otherwise, we should never talk about others. Since people who are engaged in blaspheming others have no time for their own benefit, they cannot rush towards auspiciousness. So this is a very important instruction about Vaishnav Ninda, which comes up here in these three verses, which are very, very important instructions about Vaishnav Ninda. In the next verse also, the continuation is there. Shastra padiya o karo karo buddhi nasha nityananda ninda kare hobe sarvanash. Even after studying the scriptures, many persons lose their intelligence and bring about their utter ruin by blaspheming Nityananda. So here again there is a point. Those who blaspheme the original of all spiritual master Jagat Guru Nityananda by finding faults in his activities certainly invite inauspiciousness. That is why verses like Drushte Swabhav Janita and Apichet Suduracharo have incarnated. So both these two verses Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur quotes, and we had a quite elaborate discussion on this verse, and practically we had one class on Apichet Suduracharo. So these two verses should be a benchmark for us to always act as guiding principles in seeing Vaishnavas. What is the right vision we should see Vaishnavas? And especially those who criticize the activities of Nityananda or Balaram or Lakshman and find faults, they are certainly inviting inauspiciousness. So any pastimes where we see that Balaram or Nityananda or Lakshman being offended or found faults and they were destroyed. Anyone knows any pastimes? Either Balaram or Nityananda or Lakshman, because all three are ultimately Balaram Tattva only. Anyone else would like to answer? Okay, Maya Narsingh Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, Balram was offended by Romaharshan Sutta, and Sugriva offended Lakshmana.
Sugriva offended Lakshmana.
Yeah, because he did not offer chair to Lord Lakshmana when he took side with Rama to killing the Vali. So so there is some description in the Ramayana.
Okay, I'm not aware about it, but it's not that Sugriva became a demon and then, like that. But definitely, yes, Romaharshantasut was completely killed by Balram himself. That pastime is there. There's an interesting pastime in the Ramayana when Lakshman was wounded by Indrajit. Now, one of the powerful warriors on the side of the Sugriva, he was one of the powerful generals who was Duvida.
Duvida gorilla.
Yeah, Duvida found fault with Lakshman and considered a Lakshman as a mortal being. And because of this offense, he became a great demon. So that's how, with respect to Nityananda, so that's why these two verses are very important for us as devotees. Now, after giving these instructions, then he comes back to the pastime. The two punched and abused each other as Nityananda Haridas watched from a distance. Nityananda personally asked some people, to which caste do these two belong? Why do they act like that? The people replied, oh Gosai, these two are Brahmanas. Their virtuous father and mother both come from respectable families. Mahakulite Utpan. Their ancestors have all lived in Nadia and were all free from the slightest fault. So that was their reputation. These two qualified persons give up their religiosity and have been engaged in sinful activities since birth. Considering that they were most sinful, their relatives rejected them. Now they freely wander about with other drunkards. When the residents of Nadia see these two, they fear that the two may someday burn their house. There is no sin that these two have not committed. They plunder, steal, drink wine, and eat meat. After hearing this, the kind-hearted Nityanand mercifully contemplated how to deliver the two. Now, this is a very important principle in preaching, and here we will try to go the inner dynamics about the heart of a Vaishnava. Firstly, as long as the compassion is not awakened in the heart, Jiva Daya, which comes only with Namruchi, when you don't feel that compassion, then the person cannot be delivered also. Nityananda Prabhu felt compassion for them. And this compassion is again the compassion coming from the Lord. So even those who are Madhyamadhikaris or Uttamadhikaris, when they preach, they genuinely feel compassion. It's not just a philosophy. They genuinely have compassion in the hearts of the fallen souls to deliver them. And this compassion is coming from the source of all compassion, Krishna. And Krishna, becomes an instrument through the vehicle of these preachers to distribute his mercy. So Nityananda Prabhu felt merciful and he contemplated how to deliver them. So here is the second important point is contemplation. We should contemplate and present systematically the philosophy so that we can convince others to take up to spiritual life. So there is proper contemplation here happening. So there is one question here by Birendra Yadav Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandat Pranam. Prabhuji, my question is, in case of Rom Hansard, he just did not get up from his seat while giving lecture, and he got so harsh punishment. And in case of this second case, Jagai Madhai, where they are hitting Nityanand Prabhu and they are getting mercy, how to understand this, Prabhuji?
Okay. One is when we go through the pastime, then we will take up this. We'll just keep this question under suspension now. After we finish this discussion of the pastime, then we will take up this. So Nityanand felt mercy and he contemplated how to deliver. Then, what is this contemplation? Patakiya tarite Prabhu koila avatar eimata pataki kota pai benar. So this is his contemplation. The Lord has incarnated to deliver the sinful. Patakiya tarite Prabhu koila avatar. Where will he find such sinners as these? Eimata pataki kota pai benar. Where will you find such sinners? Now, one of the reasons why we as devotees are practicing the sadhana bhakti, and we don't, I don't know about others, I'm speaking for myself, that we don't experience that we are experiencing the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, the entire Guru Shish Parampara, and we don't sometimes feel that I'm still caught in material consciousness. I'm not able to advance. One of the reasons is that we don't consider ourselves as fallen, because Mahaprabhu is Patita Pavan. One sannyasi in his lecture, he was telling that nobody can claim today, in today's age, that he is more fallen than Jagai and Madhai. Nobody can claim. So Jagai and Madhai were so fallen, so sinful, that there can be no other living entities in this universe now who are more fallen than Jagai and Madhai. So if Jagai and Madhai can be delivered, definitely we can be delivered. But the criteria is what? We should consider ourselves as fallen. Patita Pavana hoite avatar. Mosama Patita na paibe ar. We don't consider ourselves as fallen. That means we lack genuine humility, because when genuine humility dawns in the heart, then we don't see fault in others, we see fault in ourselves. How sinful ever, what kind of sinful life I've led in my in this life only. What about to speak about the previous lives? So like that, when we consider ourselves very, very sinful, then Krishna will bestow, or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will bestow his mercy. Now, with reference to Pataka sins, there is an elaborate commentary given by Bhakti Siddhanta Sarita. There is Ati Pataka, Mahapataka, Anupataka, Upapataka, Jati, Brahm Shakara, Shankari Karana, Apatrikarana, and Mahavala, and Prakirnaka. So one can read this. What is Atipataka, Mahapataka? Various sinful activities. These are the different definitions they are given. Killing a bird, killing a fish, and other animals born in water, killing worms, insects, eating foods. They are all Maha, Mala, Vaha. So like that, these definitions are given. I will not go into it. So there are the kind of sins, if you go through in this, you can understand what kind of sins are Anupataka. Having illicit relationships, all these fall in these kind of categories, and specific definitions are given. The Lord secretly manifests himself. People do not see his influence, make fun of him. This is how Nityananda Prabhu is contemplating. If the Lord bestows his mercy to these two, then the whole world will know his glories. If I can reveal Lord Chaitanya to them, then I, Nityananda, will be known as Lord Chaitanya's servant. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu delivered the most sinful during that time, Jaga and Madai. And how much we know the glory of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. But Srila Prabhupada delivered thousands of Jagais and Madais in the Western world. And in one sense, Srila Prabhupada is more famous in one sense. Because the Lord wants his devotees to be glorified. That is the reciprocational love the Lord has for his pure devotees. So Prabhupada delivered thousands of Jagais and Madais, whereas Chaitanya Mahaprabhu only delivered 2, Jagai and Madai. Now they are fully intoxicated and do not know themselves. If only they could become intoxicated like this under the influence of Krishna's name. Ekhana emana matta apana na jani. They don't know themselves. E mata hoy yadi Shri Krishnera Nam. Similarly, if they can become intoxicated in Krishna's name, oh, how glorious. Now, this is a very important point here, Nityananda Prabhu's contemplation, that even in the most sinful, in the most fallen, we should be able to see good qualities. This is a Vaishnava Acharya who has got pure spiritual vision. And this is the kind of vision, even in the most sinful of sinful people, we should see some good quality in them. And we should focus on that good quality, and that's how that person can be delivered. Now, we all know Srila Prabhupada, when he was first time he had moved to the Fifth Avenue in New York, they were all drunkards, hippies, just lying on the pathway. And Prabhupada, saw them with genuine compassion, and he had genuine concern for those souls. And they could see that this person is our well-wisher, and they used to move away and give sight to Srila Prabhupada. And there is a famous pastime when Prabhupada was giving one lecture in that same Fifth Avenue, where he used to have the matchless gift, where he used to have evening Bhagavad Gita discourses. And one hippie drunkard who was high on drugs suddenly barged into the room. Prabhupada had to stop the lecture, and everyone was wondering what he will do. He just was so intoxicated that he could not walk properly. He just went inside and went to the toilet, and there in the toilet, the paper which they use, the toilet paper roll, he just placed the new one, and he was so intoxicated that he did not know where he was going, and then suddenly he moved out. And Srila Prabhupada was silent during the entire event. And then Prabhupada said, see See this drunkard? Even he is doing service. See, he came and did service for Krishna. So this was Prabhupada's vision. Once it was, Prabhupada's disciple himself told me the story that when Prabhupada was giving again the same lecture in the Fifth Avenue, in the Matchless Gift, there was one hippie who was high on drugs, was lying on the street. And Prabhupada told those who were attending the class to go and lift him and get him inside here in the room. So they lifted him. He was completely unconscious. And he was lying unconscious in the Matchless Gift storefront inside the room. And Prabhupada gave the Bhagavad Gita lecture. And after the Bhagavad Gita lecture was over, Prabhupada said, now you can take him back and keep it back in the street. So Prabhupada knew that the transcendental sound vibration is spiritual, and although he's unconscious, it will enter his heart. This was how merciful and compassionate was Prabhupada. So this is how he's contemplating, and he's seeing from a pure vision, a pure vision. This kind of vision devotees should develop. And in the pastime of Putana, Putana came with the intention to kill Krishna. But Krishna, what did he see? He saw that one good quality. Somehow she has taken the role of the mother. And Krishna saw that one quality and delivered Putana. So we should have that vision among millions of faults which we can see from our conditioned nature. From our spiritual vision, at least we should find one good quality in them so that they can be delivered. If the two cry as they say, "Oh my Lord," then my wandering will be successful. If persons who previously took bath in the Ganges with their clothes on, when they touch the shadow of these two, consider themselves as purified as have taken bath in the Ganges by seeing them, then my name will be remembered. The glories of Nityanand Prabhu are unlimited. Sri Nityanand Prabhu Mahima Apar. He had incarnated to deliver the fallen souls. Patitara Tran Lagi Yandra Avatar. After contemplating in this way, the Lord said to Haridas. So after this contemplation is over, then he spoke to Haridas. Oh Haridas, look at their miserable condition. Haridas, dekho dohana durgati. Although they are Brahmanas, their behavior is most abominable. These two will not be able to avoid the punishment of Yamaraj. So they are feeling compassion on them. When you were beaten, it should be practically to death by the Yavanas, you thought about their welfare. So we went through this pastime of Haridas Thakur and we had a long discussion. So when the servants of the Qazi were beating Haridas Thakur in those 22 marketplaces, Haridas Thakur was thinking about how to deliver them. So Sri Haridas Thakur was beaten to the point of death, never thus, without desiring any form of revenge, Haridas Thakur displayed tolerance and thought about their welfare. So this we saw the pastime, chapter 16. If you think about the welfare of these two, then they will certainly be delivered. The Lord never neglects to fulfill your desire. This truth was personally disclosed by the Lord. So here is another important principle. The first principle is there has to be Jivadaya. The second principle is proper contemplation. And the third here principle is genuine welfare, spiritual welfare of that Jiva. How I should genuinely have welfare of this Jiva, how they can be uplifted. So these are the three important principles we here see from this pastime of Nityanand Prabhu. Let the entire world see Lord Chaitanya's influence when he delivers these two. Now, we should never think that, when we preach and devotees take up to Krishna consciousness, we should never think that, oh, I have got them to Krishna consciousness. Oh, they were most fallen and I have delivered them. And we should give the credit that it is the influence of the Guru Shish Parampara and ultimately Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Just as the Puranas sing about the deliverance of Ajamil, now let the three worlds directly see such pastimes. Haridas knew well the glories of Nityananda Prabhu, therefore he could understand that the two were already delivered. So moment that sankalpa is done, that sankalpa, that desire, a pure desire to actually genuinely desire the spiritual welfare, then that desire is sanctioned by the Lord in the heart. Haridas Prabhu said, listen, O Mahashay, your desire is certainly Lord's desire. Tomara e ichha se Prabhura nishay. You devise me just as one, you deceive me just as one deceives an animal. And in this way, you repeatedly teach me. Lord Nityanand smiled and embraced Haridas. Then they softly spoke as follows. Let us go and inform these two drunkards about the Lord's order that we are carrying around. The Lord order is for everyone to worship Krishna, but this is especially meant for the most sinful. Atishay papira vishesh. Our responsibility is to simply repeat the Lord's order. If people do not follow, that is his responsibility. So this is how we should act as instruments. Then Nityananda and Haridas went to inform the two of the Lord's order. Saintly people prohibited them, saying, don't go near them. If they catch you, you will lose your life. We hide inside the house and tremble. How can you dare to approach them? Those two have no respect for sannyasis. They have killed unlimited brahmanas and cows. Nevertheless, the two Prabhus chanted the name of Krishna and joyfully went before the two. So here is another important point that we should depend on Krishna, take Krishna's names and do the act in pure joy. They came only close enough to be heard and then loudly informed them of the Lord's order. Say Krishna, worship Krishna, chant the names of Krishna. Krishna is your mother, Krishna is your father, Krishna is your life and wealth. Bol Krishna, bhajo Krishna, loy Krishna naam. Krishna Mata, Krishna Pita, Krishna Prana Dhan. Krishna is incarnated for your benefit. Therefore, give up our sinful activities and worship Krishna. Toma sab alagya Krishna avatar, Krishnera avatar. Helu Krishna bhaje saba chada anachar. Anachar means what? There is sadachar. Sadachar means a saintly conduct. Anachar is sinful conduct. Leave your sinful conduct. On hearing their call, the two turned their heads and their eyes became red with anger. This is the response they get. After lifting their heads and seeing the form of the sannyasis, the two ran towards them shouting, catch them, catch them. Nityananda and Haridas quickly ran away as the two rogues chased them, shouting, stop, stop. Abusing them with harsh words, they chased behind the two Prabhus who ran away out of fear. People said, we warned them before. Now those two sannyasis are in danger. All the atheists smiled and thought, Lord Narayan has given proper punishment to those imposters. See how people see from their same, different visions we can see here. The pious Brahmana said, save them Krishna, Raksha Krishna, Raksha Krishna. Then they left that place in fear. The two rogues chased behind as the two lords ran away. Although the rogues declared that they caught them, they were unable. Nityanand said, we thought it would be good to turn them into Vaishnavas, but we will be lucky if we survive today. So there is a lot of jolly, conversation which happens now between Haridas and Nityanand Prabhu. Hasya parihasya, Haridas said, Haridas bole, Thakur arake na bola, Tomara buddhita pramite pranagila. Oh Lord, what can I say? Today I will die prematurely because of your ideas. Because you have tried to give Krishna's instructions to drunkards. Madhya pera kaila ena Krishna upadesh. We have received proper punishment. Uchita tahara shashti prana avashesh. Almost losing our lives. Speaking in this way, the two lords laughed as they ran away. The two rogues chased after them while shouting abusive words. The two drunkards had fat bodies, so they could hardly walk. Yet somehow they ran swiftly. So because they were drunkards and they had fat bodies, they could not move also, and they were intoxicated. So they could not walk also, but just hearing these instructions, they started somehow running, but they could not. The two rogues said, "Oh brothers, where will you go? How will you escape Jagai and Madai today? You do not know that Jagai and Madai live here. Wait a moment and see who's behind you." Hearing the words, the two lords ran in fear as they called, "Save us, Krishna, save us, Krishna, hey Govinda, Raksha Krishna, Raksha Krishna, Govinda Boliya." Haridas said, "I cannot go further. Why did I knowingly come with this restless person?" Haridas Thakur is now joking with Nityanand. "Krishna just saved me from the wrath of the Yavanas, and now today I will lose my life due to your mischievous nature." Nityanand said, Nityanand boli, "Ami na ye chanchal. I am not a restless person. Think carefully. Mane bhave dekho. It is your Lord who is agitated. Tumhara Prabhu se vivala." Although he is a Brahmana, he orders like a king. On his instructions, we preach door to door. We preach door to door. He gives orders that we never heard before, and as a result, people call us thieves and hypocrites. So preaching is not an easy task. The moment you start preaching and you start getting success, also there will be all other things you'll have to deal with. If we disobey his order, we'll be ruined. If we follow his order, this is the result. So both ways, it is a double-edged sword. If you don't disobey, then Guru Ragya Avagya. If you obey the order, then we are in so much trouble. You do not admit your Lord's fault. Although we both spoke to them, you accuse me of being at fault. So we both spoke to Jagai and Madai. Why are you accusing me of the fault? In this way, the two Prabhus engaged in blissful quarrels. As they watched the two rogues chasing them become confused. They ran towards the Lord's house while the two rogues rolled on the ground, being intoxicated by wine. So Nityanand Prabhu and Haridas Thakur were somehow able to run swiftly because these were intoxicated. They could not run swiftly, and then somehow they reached. Unable to see the two Prabhus, the drunkards gave up their chase and eventually began to push and shove each other. Somehow they had that propensity to punch. So now, because they could not punch the two Prabhus, they started punching each other. Being intoxicated by wine, the two could not remember a thing about where they were before and where they are now. After a while, the two Prabhus looked back and could not see where the two rogues had gone. The two felt pacified and embraced each other. They laughed and then went to Vishwambar. So after this incident happens, then they go to Vishwambar. Now here, from this verse onwards, especially 114 to 135, another theme begins where how Haridas Thakur and Nityanand Prabhu narrate these events to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and what are the further events which happen. Let us see. The lotus-eyed Mahaprabhu was sitting. His limbs of his body were so beautiful that his form bewildered even Cupid. He was surrounded by Vaishnavas who were discussing topics of Krishna among themselves. The Lord joyfully discussed his glories in that assembly, just as the Lord of Shetip did in the association of sages headed by Sanaka. At that time, Nityananda Haridas Thakur came before the Lord and reported to him what had happened on that day. So they gave the report. Srila Prabhupada also used to send Sankirtan parties for book distribution in Harinam, and the devotees used to come and report. Prabhupada was very happy hearing the news of the book distribution. Today we have seen two strange persons. They were great drunkards, yet they called themselves Brahmanas. We nicely requested them to chant the names of Krishna. In response, they chased us, yet we fortunately survived. The Lord said, who are those two? What are their names? Why would Brahmanas engage in sinful activities, such activities? Gangadas and Srinivas, who were sitting before the Lord, began to relate the sinful activities of the two. O Lord, the names of those two are Jagai and Madai. They are the sons of pious Brahmanas, and they were born here. Now, here is the reason why Jagadananda and Madhvananda, they were their Brahmanical names. They became so sinful. Due to bad association, they have developed such mentality. They have been attached to drinking wine since their birth. So it's only because of bad association. That's why Sangha is very, very powerful both ways. By saintly association, we can give up all our sinful activities and become pure-hearted. And if somebody is pious also, in bad association, he can become the most sinful. Everyone in Nadia is afraid of these two. There is no house that has not been plundered by them. There is no limit to their sinful activities. Oh Lord, you know and see everything. The Lord said, I know these two fellows. If they come here, I will cut them into pieces. Nityananda said, you may cut them to pieces, but I will not go out as long as they are here. Because Nityananda Prabhu had decided to deliver them. Why do you brag so much? First, get these two to chant the name of Govinda. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu telling to Nityananda Prabhu. A pious person naturally chants the name of Krishna, but these two do not know anything other than sinful activities. If you deliver these two by awarding them devotional service, then I will know you as Patit Pavan, the deliverer of the fallen. The deliverance of these two will certainly be more glorious than the deliverance of me. Vishwambar smiled and replied, they are delivered the moment they got your darshan. So here again is a very important point. When Nityananda Prabhu glanced at Jagai and Madai, just by that mere glance, Jagai and Madai were delivered. Darshane pavitra karo, ei tumar gun. So this is a beauty of a Mahabhagavat. Just by his darshan, when he just, gives his darshan and he contemplates, let him become a devotee, that pure desire is fulfilled by Krishna. You are so concerned for their benefit that Krishna will soon arrange for their well-being. That is the spiritual well-being. On hearing these words from the lotus mount of the Lord, all the devotees chanted Jai Jai, Hari Hari. They were all convinced that the two were already delivered. Hoila Uddar Sabha Manila Ridhaya. Haridas then went before Advaita and spoke as follows. So here again, there is a very nice conversation between Advaita and Haridas, who had their fighting where there was very hasya parihas sambhashan. The Lord sends me with this restless person. So now Haridas is telling Advaita Acharya about Nityanand. He leaves him behind, and who knows where he goes. During the rainy season, there are many crocodiles in the Ganges. he goes swimming in the waters to catch them. In great anxiety, I call him loudly from the river bank, but he continually floats around in the water of the Ganges. If he sees some boys, he comes out of the water and chases them to beat them. When their parents come with sticks in their hand, I fall at their feet and send them back. This is Haridas Thakur mentioning to Advaita Acharya. He steals butter and yogurt from the cowherd men and flees. When they catch me, they want to beat me. Whatever he does is unreasonable. When he sees an unmarried girl, he tells her, marry me. He rides on the back of an ox and declares that he is Mahesh. He takes milk from other cows and drinks it. When I try to teach him something, he abuses me and says, what can your Advaita do to me? And Sri Chaitanya, whom you consider the Lord, what can he do to me? This is in Nityanand in his bhav, in his mood. He is Balram. I have not said anything about this to the Lord, but today my life has been saved by providence. There were two drunkards lying in the street, and he went before them to preach Krishna's instructions. In great anger, they rushed to kill us. It is your mercy that our lives have been saved. Advaita smiled and said, this is not at all astonishing, for drunkards should associate with other drunkards. Madhyapera uchita, madhyapa sangha hoy. It is befitting that the three drunkards were together, but being a celibate, why you were there. So this is how Advaita Acharya is responding to the actual events. Now here is a very important lesson from this pastime, that especially in our devotional activities of seva, in the association of devotees, especially when there are festivals or regular sevas, usually our Vaishnav aparad, or we commit Vaishnav aparad when some things go wrong with the activities. Now here is an activity of preaching which Nityananda Prabhu does, and what a repercussion they had. And Haridas Thakur is narrating to Advaita Acharya. Like, take an example of somebody is doing backup service and other devotees tell something, and there is a fight, and then each of the devotees start blaspheming each other, and then the complaint goes to the temple authorities. So how should devotees and managers deal? Firstly, one should have a transcendental perspective about devotional activities. The transcendental perspective is that all devotees who are serving, those activities are completely spiritual and pleasing to Guru Gaurang and the Lord, because devotional activities are not of this material world. This is the perspective we should have, especially as managers and leaders. So you can see how Advaita Acharya is answering that they are drunkards, and Nityananda Prabhu is also one other drunkard. So though all the three, they can associate. But why? You are a sannyasi, you are a celibate monk. Why did you go there? So he's in turn, although Haridas Thakur is complaining about because of him, today we are in trouble. And, why did you go with him? You are a celibate. So this is from a transcendental perspective, Advaita Acharya is giving the answer. And at a practical level, for the managers and for the leaders, we should resolve these issues which can happen in a Vaishnava way. But, seeing that there is no tension, and see that the friction doesn't increase, but it develops into more better relationships. So this is how we should see as managers and do things like this, so that there's no friction among the devotees, no tension among the devotees. I remember many years back, two very young trainee brahmacharis who had joined in the ashram. They were little young and little mischievous because they were just from the school, pass out. They were around 18, 20, very young. And for some reason, they had fought. And then the matter went to the temple president. So the temple president called the two devotees. He said, now I'll have to give you punishment. And the punishment is that you have to chant, instead of 16 rounds, 32 rounds. And you should serve each other Vaishnava Prasad. So like that, we should see from a transcendental perspective and at a practical level, deal things in a Vaishnav way. Nityanand Prabhu will make everyone intoxicated. I know his character very well. Advaita Acharya is saying, just wait and see. Within 2 to 3 days, he will bring those drunkards into our assembly. While speaking this way, Advaita became overwhelmed with anger. Without any clothing on, he spoke with great emphasis. Everyone will hear about Lord Chaitanya's devotional service to Krishna, and they will see his potency, how he dances and chants. You will see tomorrow how Nimai and Nitai will bring the two drunkards and dance with them. They will make the two equal to us, and we will have to run away to save our caste. This is again a joke, Advaita Acharya is doing. On seeing Advaita's angry mood, Haridas smiled. He was convinced that the drunkards would be delivered. Who has the power to understand Advaita's words? Only Haridas Prabhu can understand them. Many people, sinful people, take to the side of Advaita and criticize Gadadhar. They will be burnt to death. Now here is again a very important instruction, I think, given. Oh, yes. Sometimes when devotees, there is some clash over some issue in the Vaishnava circle, we should not take sides. I think it is there in the next purport. Yeah. Any sinful person who takes the side of one Vaishnava and blasphemes another is certainly ruined. So here is a very important instruction. Usually, Vaishnava aparadh happens, especially with respect to management and especially with respect to difference of opinions. And we start taking sides. So here is a very, very important instruction for devotees. Any sinful person who takes the side of one Vaishnava and blasphemes another Vaishnava is certainly ruined. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has given an important comment on this. Sinful-minded persons who are averse to Hari think that there is a difference of opinion among pure Vaishnavas. And they selfishly take the side of one and blaspheme the other's process of worship. I have seen many of these examples, and we should be very careful about it, especially among even within ISKCON, the sannyasis. Many sannyasis have their way of presenting Krishna consciousness in order to attract the conditioned souls. And two sannyasis might differ in the way they present Krishna consciousness, and they might have some, internal issue. But their disciples taking side of their spiritual masters, if they start committing Vaishnav Ninda, then that is really very serious. So this I'm speaking about two sannyasis within the ISKCON community, and also it can happen within the temple community. There can be, sometimes because of certain way things have to go, there can be difference of opinion and there can be groupism. There can be groupism among different spiritual masters also. And when we start blaspheming other Vaishnavas, this is very, very serious. So there is no difference of opinion among pure Vaishnavas. Prabhupada said that even the liberated souls in the spiritual world have difference of opinion because everyone is an individual. But that difference increases rasa, because ultimately, how best you want to serve Krishna, both are presenting that. So we should be broad-minded and not take it at an individual and a personal level. The problem is, because of our egoistic nature, we take it at a personal level, and then criticism is born out of false ego also. So that's how we should be careful about it. And this is a very, very important point about Vaishnav Ninda. They selfishly take the side of one and blaspheme the other's process of worship. But both Vaishnavas are engaged in the service of the Lord. By imagining differences between them and taking the side of one Vaishnava, one considers him superior. Yet since the other Vaishnava prays for the Vaishnava's purification and desires his auspiciousness, the observer considers him unfavorable and censors him, thinking that there is a possibility of difference between Vaishnavas. By preaching such a philosophy, one invites one's own ruination. So this is how dangerous is Vaishnav Aparad. So this friction which can happen is what I wanted to emphasize here. Now we have finished half of the pastime. So we will take one more class and try to finish this entire pastime, because after they are delivered, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives a very important instruction to Vaishnavas, which is very, very important for us. So that I will take up in the next Tuesday class. So any questions, any clarifications anyone has? Maya Narasimha Prabhuji, yes.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, very wonderful points you brought out, Prabhu, today. The last point, Prabhu, sometimes we do see that some Vaishnavas, when they are sitting on the Vyasasan, sometimes they indirectly or directly try to be critical of other Vaishnavas' way of preaching and other things. And sometimes it becomes so overwhelming for us to sit in that class and able to absorb that without reacting. So what should be our disposition in such kind of scenario, Prabhuji? Because in the Vaishnava assembly, such things are spoken.
In that case, what we should do is we just hear it and leave it away. Usually what happens, because of our conditioned state, after the class, we take pleasure in that. We discuss with other Vaishnavas, what he said is wrong, what is, all that discussions happen. Better just bow down your head, think that you have not heard anything, and just after the class, leave that assembly and don't ever bring up the topic or discuss about it. So that's the best way we need to deal in that situation. And if it is too heavy, if it is a everyday affair happening about it, then it can be a serious issue. Then we'll have to discuss with our counselor and see whether we can be in another group where there is exclusively only Krishna Katha happening, presented in a neutral way. But if it is sometime happening like this, better is to take a humble position and not to give a ear to it, as we say, and then leave the place and not bring up that topic or discussion. And we should genuinely pray also. Genuinely pray to Krishna and to the Guru Shish Parampara and to all the Vaishnavas.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you.
Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavabhyo namo namah. Just do that. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Any other question anyone has? Okay, then we will stop here. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.